Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm glad you're here today because we are diving into something that is absolutely crucial for every pastor and church leader in Kenya. How to navigate government relations and compliance. Now, I know that might not sound super thrilling at first, but stick with me. What we are going to talk about today could be the difference between your church thriving and running into serious legal trouble. So, trust me, you'll want to stay tuned for this one. Before we get started, just a quick reminder. This video is part of a series where we are breaking down the Presidential Task Force report on church organizations in Kenya. If you've not been with us, you know that we are unpacking what this report means for pastors and church leaders across the country. And remember, these videos are just high-level overviews, so if you want to dig into all the details, I've got the full report available. Just drop me an email and I'll send you your copy. And as always, although this task force was interfaith, I'm sharing from a perspective of a born-again evangelical minister. So why does this matter, how we relate to the government? In recent years, we've seen a big increase in government oversight of ministries and churches in Kenya. And let me tell you, this isn't just about obeying some rule. It's about ensuring that your church can operate without disruption or legal issues. And here is where it gets serious. If you're not proactive in understanding these regulations, you could be setting your ministry up for some big problem down the road. What is the impact of government scrutiny on churches and ministry? Let me share a story with you that really brings this home. In 2020, Prophet David Owuor from the Ministry of Repentance and Holiness found himself under heavy government scrutiny. His ministry was accused of manipulating followers and engaging in what looked like cult-like activities. They thought his ministry was a cult. So the media jumped on it. They love this kind of stuff. And before long, the government had launched a full investigation into this ministry. And this was not just about bad press. This was an existential threat to his ministry and other ministries in Kenya. Because when the government starts putting a spotlight in one ministry, then they start following other ministries that look or behave like that ministry. Now, whether or not you agree with what happened, there's a big lesson here. When the government steps in, everything from your finances to your sermons can come under very deep scrutiny. And this is why it is so important to know what the law requires and to make sure that your church is always above board. Let them not find an excuse to come and interfere with the way that you do ministry, how you do ministry, or where you do ministry. So I want to bring this closer to home. I want to share with you a story about a small church in Eldoret. This church was doing amazing work. Like very many churches that are community-based, they might be small, but the work that they're doing is very big. This church was feeding the hungry, offering shelter, and sharing the gospel with the local community. But they made one critical mistake. They were so zealous in doing ministry, but they did not put that same zeal in their financial records and the keeping of it. They didn't keep it in order. So when the government came in for a routine check, and they can drop on you anytime. They don't have to ask for it, they don't have to call ahead of time, they can drop anytime. So when they came in for routine check, they found financial discrepancies. The result, the church was fined and their pastor was dragged into court and the congregation was completely shocked. Of course, the church's reputation took a major hit. Once the police start sniffing around your church, people become suspicious about what you guys are doing there. And many people can run away from your church. So you don't want them to come. And this was not just a case of fraud. It was simply a matter of not following the rules. There are rules and all pastors must know them. And it is a tough reminder for all of us. Like I said in the last video, it is easier to ignore the fire on your neighbor's house until that fire catches up with you in your own compound. So no matter how well-intentioned your ministry is, if you don't comply with the law, if you don't do what the law requires, you are setting yourself up for serious trouble in your ministry or church. Now, let me talk about land ownership. This is big. Land is huge in Kenya. An issue that has caused major problems for many churches. When you say land, that is where every pastor dreams. I want to have land, I want to build a church. So in 2021, a church in Nairobi found itself in a huge legal battle over land ownership. This church had been on the same piece of land for many years. But when a developer came in with a title deed, the church suddenly had to fight for its right to stay in that place. The legal battles dragged on and on for years in the courts, costing the church time, costing the church money, and removing the focus of the church from ministry to courts to fighting for this piece of land. In the end, after all this headache, the church lost the case and was forced to vacate this land. This wasn't just a loss of property. It was a loss of community, a loss of history, and a loss of trust. And the worst part, all of this could have been avoided with proper legal documentation and proper legal advice. Maybe as you're starting a ministry or you're in a ministry and you're not there, maybe it is time to invest in a good lawyer to help you understand what your standing or the standing of your church is as far as government is concerned. It might seem costly, but I implore you to do this. And if you want a good lawyer that can help you, I have one that I can recommend for you. Just let me know. Now, I know these stories might sound heavy, and they are heavy, but here's the good news. Say, Dennis, there is good news? Yes, there is good news. These challenges also bring some incredible opportunities for your ministry. Listen very carefully as I tell you what these opportunities are. In every darkness, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So here is the opportunity for you as a church leader or a pastor or a ministry leader. Opportunity number one, building stronger government relationships. That's an opportunity. Now, these challenges push us to build stronger and more positive relationships with the government. When you are proactive about understanding and following the law, you're not just avoiding trouble. You're building a reputation as a responsible and trustworthy church. And this trust can open doors for partnership. It can open doors for support. And it can even open doors for influence in your community. So that's opportunity number one. Opportunity number two, strengthening legal and financial systems. These challenges encourage us to strengthen our legal and financial system. How? You asked me, I'm glad you asked. It does this by getting your house in order and getting it in order now. And when you do that, you are setting your ministry up for growth. And when your financial records are clean and your legal documents are secure, you are building a foundation that can support your church's mission and vision for many, many years to come. So, my advice is, when you have bought land for your church, before you invest any kind of infrastructure, before you start building, before you start putting things, even building a wall around it, get yourself a good lawyer, go to the Ministry of Land, make sure that that land is clean, because you're about to invest a lot of things in there. So you have to make sure that the legal ownership documents are with you and they are clean. And this is where I say, even though we are people of faith, do not invest in church property by faith. Make sure that you have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, that everything is in order, all your things are in the right place. Then start building. Opportunity number three, enhancing community trust and support. Finally, compliance builds trust, not just with the government, but with your congregation and the community as well. When people see that your church is responsible and transparent, they are more likely to support what you're doing. This can lead to more giving, more volunteers, and greater influence in your community. People like to invest where they feel secure. So, what's the big takeaway? These challenges are not just roadblocks. They are opportunities to build stronger, more resilient ministries. By navigating government relations wisely, you are not just protecting your church, you are positioning your church to thrive in the long run. Now, let's take these lessons to heart and turn them into actions that will strengthen our churches for generations to come. And hey, if you want to dig deeper into these topics, just reach out to me. I'm here to help. The full report is also available if you need it. Just drop me an email and I'll send it to you. Now, if you find this video helpful, help me here. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. And trust me, you'll want to catch the next video. We'll be talking about how churches can better engage with communities, not just to meet government expectation, but to truly serve and uplift those around them. See you in the next video. So thank you for watching, and God bless you as you lead your ministry with wisdom and integrity.